Hey there, fellow dreamers and doers. Ever feel like you're stuck in a rut, your motivation waning, and your goals gathering dust on the shelf, like you're slogging through life instead of strutting your stuff? Well, you're not alone. We all hit those motivation potholes from time to time. But guess what? It's not a life sentence. It's a wake-up call, a chance to hit the reset button and reignite that fire within. As the ancient Stoics wisely said, the obstacle is the way. Those moments when we feel stuck, lost, or uninspired are opportunities for growth and transformation. They're invitations to dig deeper, question our assumptions, and create a life that lights us up. In this series, we're embarking on a motivation makeover journey. We'll explore the psychology of motivation, uncover the sneaky saboteurs that keep us stuck, and learn practical strategies to break free from inertia and build unstoppable momentum. But this isn't just a philosophy lecture. We're going to get real, raw, and relatable. We'll share personal stories, everyday examples, get ready to ditch the doldrums, design your dream life, and become the master of your motivation. Let's get this party started. Lesson 1. Understanding the loss of motivation. Ever feel like you're stuck in the mud, spinning your wheels but going nowhere fast? Like your get up and go got up and left? That, my friend, is the dreaded slump. The motivation monster lurking under your bed, ready to pounce when you least expect it. But fear not, because we're about to shine a light on this beast and learn how to tame it. The ancient Stoics believed that understanding our emotions was key to living a fulfilling life. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the chaos and lose sight of what truly drives us. We might find ourselves chasing external validation, likes on social media, promotions at work, the latest gadgets, only to find a fleeting sense of satisfaction. The contemporary philosopher Alain de Botton suggests that much of our unhappiness stems from our unrealistic expectations. We compare our lives to the curated highlight reels we see online, forgetting that everyone struggles with motivation at times. So, the first step to conquering the slump is to accept it as a natural part of the human experience. Think of it like this. You wouldn't beat yourself up for catching a cold, would you? It's just a temporary setback. The same goes for a lack of motivation. It's not a character flaw. It's a signal that something needs to change. Identifying the root cause of your demotivation is crucial. Are you procrastinating on a task because it's challenging, or because it's misaligned with your values? Are you overwhelmed by your to-do list, or are you simply lacking clarity on your priorities? By understanding the why behind your slump, you can take targeted action to overcome it. As the modern Stoic Ryan Holiday puts it, the obstacle is the way. Your lack of motivation is an opportunity for self-discovery and growth. So embrace the challenge, and let's start uncovering the path to reigniting your spark. Lesson 2. Building initial momentum. All right, so we've unmasked the motivation monster and accepted that feeling stuck is part of the human gig. Now let's talk about getting unstuck. The Stoics had a saying, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." But what if that first step feels like trying to move a mountain? That's where building initial momentum comes in. It's about finding those tiny, manageable actions that create a chain reaction, like toppling dominoes. The contemporary philosopher James Clear talks about the power of atomic habits, small incremental changes that compound over time. He says, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. So instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, let's focus on those little wins that build momentum and create a sense of progress. Think about it this way. Imagine trying to push a car that's been sitting idle for weeks. It's going to take a lot of effort to get it moving, right? But once it starts rolling, it becomes easier and easier to keep it going. That's the beauty of momentum. So how do we create that initial push? Declutter your life. The Stoics believed in living a simple life, free from unnecessary distractions. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." So let's clear out the mental and physical clutter that's weighing us down. Clean your desk, organize your files, and get rid of anything that doesn't serve you. A clear space creates a clear mind. Focus on the 20%. Remember the Pareto principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So let's identify those high-impact tasks and prioritize them. As Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Work Week, says, focus on being productive instead of busy. Embrace the new. Step outside your comfort zone. The Stoics believed in challenging themselves to grow. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. By focusing on these small steps, you'll start to build momentum, and before you know it, you'll be back on track, strutting your stuff with confidence and purpose. So let's take that first step together and start creating the life you've always dreamed of. Embracing challenges for growth, the path to sustainable motivation. We've all faced moments when obstacles seemed insurmountable, but what stands in the way often becomes the way forward. To truly unlock our potential, we must be willing to try something new, learn a new skill, or take on a project that scares us a little. You might surprise yourself with what you're capable of. The power of completion. Completing what you start brings a profound sense of accomplishment. Whether it's finishing a small task or a significant project, each completed endeavor builds confidence and reinforces the habit of follow-through. As Aristotle wisely said, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. So let's close those open loops and celebrate our wins, both big and small. Building momentum is like lighting a fire. It starts with a single spark, but with consistent effort, it can grow into a roaring flame. Let's take those first steps, embrace the challenges, and watch our motivation catch fire. Turning motivation into a lifestyle, the long game. Now that we've fired up the motivation engine, how do we keep it purring like a contented cat instead of sputtering out like a cheap firework? Sustaining momentum requires shifting gears from a short burst of energy to a long scenic drive. It's about building habits that stick, not just quick fixes that fizzle. The ancient Stoics were masters of discipline and consistency. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He understood that challenges are inevitable, but it's our consistent effort to overcome them that leads to lasting change. In today's world, we're bombarded with distractions and instant gratification. We want results now, but real, sustainable motivation isn't built on microwave meals and overnight success stories. It's about the slow-cooked stews and patiently nurtured gardens. Cultivating long-term motivation. How do we cultivate this long-term motivation? First, acknowledge your progress. Remember that gratitude journal we talked about. It's time to dust it off and make it a daily ritual. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. As contemporary philosopher Brené Brown says, gratitude is the antidote to scarcity. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we create a mindset of abundance that fuels our motivation. Second, commit to the process. The Stoics believed in focusing on what they could control, their actions, not the outcomes. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." So let's fall in love with the process, the daily grind, the small steps that lead to big results. It's not about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey. Building a successful business, getting in shape, or mastering a new skill isn't about a single event. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It's about those early morning workouts, the late nights spent learning, and the countless rejections before the breakthrough. It's like the Japanese concept of Kaizen, continuous improvement. It's not about being perfect. It's about getting a little bit better each day. That's how you build sustainable habits that lead to long-term motivation. So, let's ditch the quick-fix mentality and embrace the long game. Let's celebrate our progress, commit to the process, and watch as our motivation transforms from a fleeting spark into an enduring flame. Lesson 3. Embracing new challenges and overcoming limits. We've decluttered, focused, and set ourselves up for the long haul. But sometimes, even with all the right habits in place, we need a little extra oomph to kickstart our drive. That's where embracing the new comes in, shaking things up, stepping outside that cozy comfort zone, and daring to do the impossible. The ancient Stoics believed in constantly challenging themselves to grow. Seneca, the Roman statesman and philosopher, famously said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He understood that our fears often hold us back more than any actual limitations. So let's face those fears head on and see what we're truly capable of. In today's world, it's easy to get stuck in a rut, doing the same things day in and day out. We tell ourselves we're too old to learn a new language, too busy to start that side hustle, or not creative enough to pursue our artistic passions. But these are just stories we tell ourselves, limiting beliefs that keep us playing small. Contemporary philosopher Brené Brown talks about the importance of vulnerability in living a wholehearted life. She says, vulnerability is not weakness, it's our greatest measure of courage. Embracing the new requires us to be vulnerable, to risk failure and rejection. But it's in those moments of discomfort that we truly grow and discover our hidden potential, recapturing the childlike sense of wonder. Remember when you first learned to ride a bike? It was scary, wasn't it? You probably fell a few times, scraped your knees, and maybe even shed a few tears. But you kept getting back on, pushing through the fear, and eventually, you experienced the exhilaration of freedom and accomplishment. Embracing the new is about recapturing that childlike sense of wonder and possibility. It's about saying yes to new experiences, even if they scare us a little. It's about challenging our assumptions and expanding our horizons. So, how do we jumpstart our drive? By embracing the new. First, do the impossible. Identify something you've always wanted to do but thought was beyond your reach. Maybe it's running a marathon, starting a business, or learning to play an instrument. Break it down into smaller, achievable steps, and take that first step today. As Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Second, meet new people. Expand your social circle and connect with people who inspire and challenge you. Join a club, attend a workshop, or strike up a conversation with someone new. You never know what opportunities and perspectives might arise from these connections. Lesson 4. Breaking old patterns and embracing new experiences. Sometimes the best way to reinvigorate your life is to shake things up by doing something completely different from your usual routine. Break old patterns by taking a different route to work, trying a new cuisine, or picking up a hobby you've never considered before. As the saying goes, variety is the spice of life. By introducing new experiences into your day-to-day activities, you invite fresh perspectives and renewed energy into your life. Additionally, consider performing an act of kindness. Shift your focus outward by doing something kind for someone else without expecting anything in return. Volunteer your time, donate to a cause you care about, or simply offer a helping hand to a friend in need. As Mahatma Gandhi said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Remember, embracing the new isn't about reckless abandon or constantly chasing the next thrill. It's about intentional growth, pushing your boundaries, and discovering the incredible potential that lies within you. So take that leap of faith, step outside your comfort zone, and watch as your motivation soars to new heights. Lesson 5. Managing self-doubt and cultivating self-compassion. Now that we've talked about decluttering, focusing, reigniting our spark, and even embracing the impossible, let's address that nagging voice in our heads, the one that tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. That, my friend, is the inner critic, the ultimate frenemy. The ancient Stoics knew a thing or two about taming this inner beast. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." He recognized that our thoughts and judgments about ourselves have a profound impact on our well-being and motivation. In today's world, with social media constantly showcasing everyone's highlight reel, it's easy to fall into the comparison trap and feel like we're falling short. We internalize those external expectations and start beating ourselves up for not measuring up. The result? A motivation meltdown. But here's the thing. Self-criticism is like trying to motivate a horse by whipping it. It might work in the short term, but it creates resentment and resistance in the long run. The modern-day philosopher and self-compassion expert, Kristin Neff, puts it this way. Instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect? Self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer to a close friend. It's about recognizing that everyone makes mistakes, everyone struggles, and everyone has flaws. It's about accepting yourself, warts and all, and recognizing your inherent worthiness, regardless of your achievements or failures. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a plant that's not thriving. Would you yell at it, call it names, and tell it how useless it is? Of course not. You'd nurture it with water, sunlight, and maybe even a little fertilizer. You'd recognize that it's doing the best it can with the resources it has. The same goes for yourself. When you're feeling down or demotivated, instead of berating yourself, offer yourself words of encouragement and understanding. Remind yourself that you're doing the best you can, and that setbacks are a natural part of growth. So how do we cultivate self-compassion and silence that inner critic? Here are some steps. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Notice when your inner critic starts to rear its ugly head and gently acknowledge its presence without getting caught up in its negativity. As mindfulness teacher Jon Kabat-Zinn says, mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Challenge your inner critic. When your inner critic starts spewing negativity, question its assumptions. Is it true that you're a failure, or is that just a fear-based thought? As cognitive behavioral therapist David D. Burns suggests, the first step to changing your negative thoughts is to identify them. Practice self-kindness. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a loved one. Offer yourself words of encouragement and support, especially during challenging times. Remember, You're your own biggest cheerleader. Connect with your common humanity. Recognize that everyone struggles with self-doubt and insecurity at times. You're not alone in this. As the Dalai Lama says, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Remember, self-compassion isn't about self-indulgence or making excuses. It's about creating a healthy relationship with yourself, one built on kindness, understanding, and acceptance. And when you have that foundation, your motivation will naturally blossom. So let's befriend that inner critic, unleash some self-love, and watch as our motivation soars to new heights. Lesson 6. The Zen of life. Decluttering, prioritizing, and finding focus. We've been diving deep into the internal world of motivation, understanding our slumps, building momentum, and even befriending our inner critic. But now, let's zoom out and look at the external world, the physical and mental spaces we inhabit. The ancient Stoics were big on organizing their lives, recognizing that external order often leads to internal peace. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, famously said, "Order is the sanity of the mind." In today's world, with information overload and constant distractions, it's easy to feel like we're drowning in a sea of chaos. Our desks are piled high with papers, our inboxes are overflowing, and our minds are racing with a million to-dos. It's no wonder we often feel overwhelmed and demotivated. Just like a cluttered room can stifle creativity and focus, a cluttered life can drain our energy and motivation. As Marie Kondo, the decluttering guru, says, the question of what you want to own is the question of how you want to live your life. So let's roll up our sleeves and bring some Zen into our lives. Prioritizing. The Stoics were masters of prioritization, understanding that our time and energy are finite resources. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This doesn't mean we should live in constant fear of death, but rather it's a reminder to focus on what truly matters. Let's take a page from the Stoic playbook and identify our most important goals and values. What are the things that bring us joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose? Once we know what's important, we can start saying no to the things that don't align with our priorities. As Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, said, "The difference between successful people and successful people is that successful people say no to almost everything." Time management. Time is our most precious resource, yet we often squander it on distractions and unimportant tasks. The Stoics believed in living intentionally and making the most of every moment. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Let's take control of our time by creating schedules, setting deadlines, and eliminating time wasters. There are countless time management techniques out there, but the key is to find what works for you and stick to it. As productivity expert David Allen says, "You can do anything, but not everything." Decluttering. We've already talked about decluttering our physical spaces, but what about our mental clutter? Our minds are often filled with worries, regrets, and anxieties that drain our energy and motivation. The Stoics practiced mindfulness and meditation to cultivate inner peace and clarity. So, let's take a few minutes each day to quiet our minds and focus on the present moment. Whether it's through meditation, deep breathing exercises, or simply spending time in nature, let's create space for stillness and reflection. As the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." Remember, reorganizing your life isn't about achieving perfection or becoming a productivity machine. It's about creating a sense of order and intentionality that allows you to focus on what truly matters. It's about clearing away the distractions and creating space for the things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. So let's embrace the Zen of life and watch as our motivation flourishes in this newfound clarity and peace. Lesson 7. Reigniting passion and purpose. All right, we've decluttered, prioritized, and even started to master our time like a Zen monk. We've befriended our inner critic and given ourselves a much-needed dose of self-compassion. But what if, even with all this newfound clarity and order, we still feel like something's missing, like we're going through the motions, but the spark, the zest for life, is nowhere to be found? The ancient Stoics believed that true happiness comes from living by nature and pursuing activities that align with our deepest values and passions. As Marcus Aurelius put it, everything that happens is either endurable or not. If it's endurable, then endure it. If it's not endurable, then stop complaining. The Stoics understood that we have a choice in how we respond to life's challenges, and that true fulfillment comes from embracing our passions and pursuing a life of meaning. In today's world, it's easy to lose sight of our passions amidst the hustle and bustle of daily life. We get caught up in the rat race, chasing external goals and societal expectations, forgetting what truly lights our fire. We might find ourselves stuck in jobs we hate, relationships that drain us, or routines that leave us feeling empty. The contemporary philosopher and author Joseph Campbell famously said, "Follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls." He believed that by pursuing our passions, we tap into a deeper source of energy and motivation that guides us toward a more fulfilling life. Reconnecting with childhood dreams. One way to rediscover that spark is to reconnect with your childhood dreams. Remember those dreams you had as a kid before the world told you to be realistic? What did you love to do? What made your heart sing? Maybe it was drawing, writing, building things, or exploring the great outdoors. Tap into that childlike sense of wonder and possibility, and see if there's a way to incorporate those passions into your life today. As Pablo Picasso said, "Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up." Exploring new activities. Another way to reignite your passion is to explore new activities. Step outside your comfort zone and try something completely new. Take a cooking class, learn a new language, or join a sports team. You might discover hidden talents and passions you never knew you had. As the saying goes, you never know what you can do until you try. Lesson 8. Reflecting on peak experiences. Finally, reflect on your peak experiences, those moments in your life when you felt most alive, most engaged, most in the flow. What were you doing? Who were you with? What made those moments so special? Reflecting on these experiences can give you clues about what truly matters to you and how you can create more of these moments in your life. Reigniting your passion and purpose is not about finding a single, all-encompassing mission in life. It's about creating a life that aligns with your values, brings you joy, and makes you feel truly alive. So let's take these steps to reignite the spark within and watch as our motivation and passion for life flourish. To harness the power of motivation and live a life filled with purpose and passion, it's crucial to reflect on the moments that have shaped us. These peak experiences, those times when we felt most alive, engaged, and fulfilled, hold valuable insights into what truly makes us tick. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi who coined the term flow, highlighted that the best moments in our lives are not passive or relaxing, but occur when our body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something challenging and worthwhile. Reflecting on these peak experiences, we can identify common threads that reveal our true passions and strengths. Whether it was a project that demanded our full attention or a challenge that pushed us beyond our comfort zone, these moments often share a sense of purpose, growth, and fulfillment. To rediscover your passion, follow your curiosity. Pay attention to the moments when you feel a spark of interest or excitement. What activities make you lose track of time? What challenges motivate you to grow? These are the breadcrumbs that lead to your true passions. As Albert Einstein famously said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." Rediscovering your passion isn't about finding the perfect hobby or career. It's about reconnecting with what makes you feel truly alive, engaged, and fulfilled. Now that you've reignited your passion, it's time to commit yourself and your goals. The ancient Stoics believed that true freedom comes from living in alignment with our values and promises. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In a world full of distractions and endless choices, it's easy to make commitments and break them just as easily. We often tell ourselves we'll start that diet on Monday, hit the gym tomorrow, or finally launch that side hustle next month. But without a system in place, these promises often fade into oblivion. To stay committed to your goals, you need grit, the combination of passion and perseverance that drives you towards long-term objectives. Angela Duckworth, a contemporary philosopher and author, defines grit as living life like a marathon, not a sprint. It's about staying committed even when the going gets tough and refusing to give up on your dreams. Imagine you're building a house. You wouldn't lay the foundation one day, take a week off, then put up a few walls and forget about the project. You'd stick to the plan, work consistently, and eventually you'd have a beautiful home to show for it. The same goes for your goals. You need a system that keeps you accountable and on track. Here are a few strategies to help you build that system. Set SMART goals. Make sure your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This gives you clarity and a roadmap to follow. As business guru Peter Drucker said, "If you can't measure it, you can't improve it." Find an accountability buddy. Share your goals with someone you trust, someone who will cheer you on and hold you accountable when you're slacking. As the saying goes, accountability breeds responsibility. Track your progress. Keep a journal, use an app, or create a visual tracker to monitor your progress. This helps you stay motivated and see how far you've come. Entrepreneur and author James Clear put it best: "What gets measured gets managed." Reward yourself. Celebrate small wins and build in bigger rewards for reaching milestones. This creates positive reinforcement and keeps you motivated. As psychologist B.F. Skinner, who pioneered operant conditioning, observed, behavior that is reinforced tends to be repeated. Review and adjust. Life happens and things change. Regularly review your goals and adjust your plans as needed. This keeps you flexible and adaptable. As the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, "The only constant in life is change." Remember, commitment and accountability aren't about restriction or punishment. They're about empowerment and freedom. They involve taking ownership of your life, honoring your promises to yourself, and creating a system that supports you in achieving your wildest dreams. As you embark on this journey, remember that motivation isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong dance, a series of small, consistent actions that build momentum over time. Celebrate your wins, learn from your setbacks, and always be kind to yourself. The Stoics taught us that the obstacle is the way. Those moments when you feel stuck or uninspired are simply invitations to grow, evolve, and become the best version of yourself. So keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Keep growing, even if it means facing your fears and embracing vulnerability. And most importantly, keep glowing. Keep that spark of passion alive and never give up on your dreams. As the contemporary philosopher and author Elizabeth Gilbert beautifully said, "The universe buries strange jewels deep within us all, and then stands back to see if we can find them." Now is the time to find those jewels, dust off those childhood dreams, and reignite the spark within. Deep within each of us exists a unique set of talents, waiting for us to discover them, there, and dig deep, my friends, uncover those hidden gems. Unleash your full potential and create a life that makes your soul sing. The world is waiting for your unique brilliance. Now go forth and conquer.